Marcus?
Yes, Marcus is next. Okay, Zok Tehillah Gemara. We are up to Omar Bid Rav. So let's just quickly do a recap of what we finished with yesterday. Yesterday we were learning about David, about Doeg and Achitophel. They didn't live very long. One lived to 34 and one lived to 33. Doeg was 34, Achitophel was 33, and Bilam was either 34 or 33 because the Min asked Rav Ami, I believe, and he said, Rav Chanina. The Min asked Rav Chanina, and Rav Chanina said it's probably in that age. Okay, Gavaltic. Then it says that although Achitophel was originally the Rebbe of David, eventually he was just considered a Talmud, and that's how we ended off. This pasuk is actually talking about David mourning over the fact that the best people, his best friends, and those who were closest to him, double-crossed him and stabbed him in the back. So Gam ish boy. I relied on Achitophel for ages, and Achitophel was my father-in-law because Bathsheba's father was Achitophel. We learned. So you'd think he wouldn't go against me, and even he went with Avshalom against me. He literally ate my breakfast. He stabbed me in the back. But we're darshaning lachmi is miloshain. Lachmi is miloshain loy Torah, my Torah, so he learned my Torah. A person should never bring himself to a nisayon. Why? He brought the nisayon upon himself, as the Gemara is going to relate. V'nichshal, and he failed. Amar lefanav Rebbeinu Shloim. Mipnei ma oimrim elokei Avram, elokei Yitzchak, elokei Yaakov, ve'einamim elokei David. How come I'm not there in that elite group? And my Mepharshim explain, like, he didn't have an ego issue. It's brought down that the world is, the Kisei HaKavod is held up by the four legs were Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and David. So he felt he has a major chelik in the support of Klal Yisrael. So it says over here, Af al pi she'ein Kadosh Baruch Hu meyachad shemoy al Adam Yachid el al Uma Shleima. Why kimen shem avoisa uma bareza kiyichad Hashem al kala uma by being miyachad Hashem's name on the fathers of the nation? That's like it on the whole nation. Besover David shekivin shehu ab lemachos beis David hakeleles kolam royu shiyomer elokei David ubezem yachtim Hashem ala uma kula. That's one shot. But Tosh Chaim says, Machmash shloishes ha'avos him kivayochel shloishes ragel kisei hakavod v'David zochel liyos ragel revi u'lechein shal madu maskirim rak oisam u'le'ayim gam elokei David. So that's what David asked the Rebbeinu Shalom. So the Rebbeinu Shalom answered, Amar iu minsuli. They're tried, tested, and true, but you v'atlai minsuli, you have not been tested. Amar lefanav Rebbeinu Shalom. So let's play game. Let's play ball. V'chanani. Give me a bechina, test me. Unasani. Shenemar b'chanani Hashem v'nasani. Amar Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, "I'm going to give you a little bit of a leg up over your competition, over the others. Minas naloch va'avivna milsa b'hadoch. I'll do you a favor. I'll give you an advantage. I didn't give them advance warning of what nisayon is going to come upon them. They have to deal with it live. I'm going to tell you what subject your test is on. You know what subject I'm going to teach you on? I'm going to test you on how well you can withstand a nisayon in the Dvar Erva. So David HaMelech needed to prepare. He wanted to build his immune system towards Dvar Erva. So he thought to himself, let me make sure I'm never deprived of relations, so that I won't be lusting for anything. So what did he do? Miyad vayihila esa erev vayokim David me'al mishkavay. David woke up in the evening. The goymer. Who wakes up in the evening? Don't you go to bed in the evening? You get up in the morning. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Once David HaMelech got this warning to prepare for the nisayon, shahavach mishkavay shalayla l'mishkavay shal yoyim. He actually would have relations with his wife by day, so that when he would wake up, he would already be fully taken care of, so he won't be so easily attracted by the Yetzer Hara. As Rashi says, "Shoy mishamish mitase b'yoyim kidei she'saveya mitashmish v'lo yahar acher isha kol hayom." So the problem is, it's called hayom. So basically, if he had his tashmish every day, he would be okay. The problem is there's a famous shaila that says the Talmud Chacham is not supposed to have relations by day, but he brings down the But of course, the Talmud Chacham could be mapil. The big day he could close the windows and create privacy, and then it would be allowed. It would be considered sneistic. But the mistake that David made, he made a calculation mistake. And it's almon ben halacha. Aver katan yesh b'adam. There's a small little aver in a person. Must be if you satisfy it, rov, that's only going to increase its lust. It's only going to increase its hunger. Marivai, if you hunger it, sava, it'll be satisfied. Okay, so therefore, he was not immune to being nishal in a there. I'm sorry? Both. No, if you don't engage in a lot of those types of activities, you won't have such a type of it. But if you do, it's going to make you want more.
So David didn't know that?
It says in this Alma Mimenu Halacha. So I wouldn't say the Gemara says that. You forgot. That aver. Right. Yeah. That aver, if you give it too much, it's always going to want more. If you starve it, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, it's interesting because I think that applies with everything. It applies with eating too. Well, it was his wife who he was busy with.
I know, but it's like you can't starve it completely.
Right. So you're not allowed to abstain. It has to be. It's like everything else in life. You have to meter it. You have to use the right amount. Right. It's easier to talk about this in reference to eating. It's not as uncomfortable a subject. Right. It's easier to fast than it is to be on a diet. Right. I by the fast I'm hungry because when you're not eating at all, so you're not eating. Right. But once you're eating, just to eat the right amount, that is the biggest sign. Right. That's why I'm on the diet. I'm not going to Kiddush. You can go to Kiddush. You have the vegetables. No. Once you're at the Kiddush, it's very hard to control yourself. So Zok to Gemara, and that's not Aver Cotton. That's a big fat belly we're talking about. Because Zok to Gemara Vayter. So what did he do? Vayishalech al gag beis hamelech. He was on this roof. He was on this rooftop. Vayar isha rechetetz me'al gag. He saw a woman bathing on the roof. Isha toivas maramoid. She was a very beautiful woman. Basheva. What was she doing? Have a chayfa reisha. She was washing her hair. Now, let's think about this for a second. She was an ish tzanua. She was a very holy woman. She was the mother of Shlomo Melech. So she's not going to do anything that's not tzniistic, but she did it to sechalso. She did it behind a screen. She was in privacy. She had a screen up there. So no one would have ever seen her. But what happened was, Yosy Satan idmilei kitziparta. There was the Satan came and in the form of a bird. So David HaMelech wanted to trap the bird, which also is unusual. Like David HaMelech became a bird trapper. He didn't have servants preparing his food for him. But Pasak Bey Gira, he shot an arrow at the bird, which I also don't understand, because if the arrow would kill the bird would be a treifel. So he was trying to capture. I'm not sure exactly what he was trying to do, but whatever the case is, either he missed or after they killed the bird, it hit it. But Pascha lechalsa, it tore open the screen. So now, suddenly became exposed. See, David, today the lashon exposed applies. I think it's a good application. Use the word exposed. So she became exposed. Okay.
Correct.
Pascha lechalsa. I'm always excited that I can find the right place to stick that word. So Igla, she became exposed. The Chazan, he saw her. She was very beautiful. It fired up a taiva in him. Miyad vayishlach David vayidrosh leisha, and vayomer he said, "Aloi zois bas sheva bas aliyam eshes uri achiti." He was told that this who this woman is. Vayishlach David malachim vayikacha vatavei elov vayishkav ima. And the pasuk says, "V'miskadeshes mitumah," so she was not a nida. And after they did their business, vatashav al pesa. Now, this story of David and Bathsheba is a very fascinating story, because we have Gemaras that say because she was not an Eish, because everyone who goes to war used to give a get to his wife. On the other hand, it said that David was doing tshuva his whole life for it. So it can't be to either extreme. It can't be that there was no Avera here at all, because why is David doing tshuva his whole life? And Adrabah, we're going to soon see in the Gemara that a lot of the reason why David was chayta is so that he could show even the king could be doing Avera, and even the king could do tshuva. So therefore, anybody who chas v'sholom is nishal Averas, which we all are, if David HaMelech could do tshuva and Hashem is makabel him back, it would be a lesson to all of Klal Yisrael. So it's somewhere in the middle exactly what this Avera was. V'hani d'chsiv v'chanta libi, you tested me. Pakadet Laila, you checked me at night. Tzeraftani, it's like Tzeraftani is like when you're trying to purify metal. You wanted to purify me, but unfortunately, Baal Timtza, I was not found to be pure because I failed the test. Zamoisi Bal Yavar P. Let's see what Zamoisi Bal Yavar P is referring to. Amar Eichai Zamima Nafal Bapume. How did my mouth cause me such a problem? Why did I have to ask for this Nisayan? Everything was wonderful. And then I went and asked for a Nisayan. Why did I need to do that? Demand the Sonila. So how did this fall into my mouth to say something that would cause me this harm? I'm sorry. How is it possible that this fell into my mouth and I said such a thing? I brought this whole downfall upon myself. Let's just see a quick Rashi. Pekadet Talayla, Al Maisa Laila, Pekadet Tani, on this Maisa that happened at night, you checked me. Im Ucha Lamed Ben Nesoyin Shel Davar Avera, Shraftani Bal Timtzah, meaning Chashavta Lo Tzarfeni, you wanted to purify me, but Veloy Mitzasani Nak, you did not find me clean. Eichai Zam Manafal Mi Yitain, Vayi Befi Resen, I wish there would have been a muzzle on me. The Afshir La'akivis Devorai, to stop my words from coming out. I should never have sent it, because now I have to eat my words. Darish Rava, I rely on the Rebbeinu Shalom. Eich toimru l'nafshi nudi harcham tzipor. Pashup shot in this pasuk is, don't try to undo me and destroy me, because I rely on the Rebbeinu Shalom. You're not going to be able to shake me away like a bird and scare away. I'm here to stay. But the Gemara is darshaning it differently. Amar David Lefnei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom, Mechayli Aloisei Avoy. Please be meichel me. Shelo Yoimru Harsha B'chem Tzipor Nadadasoi. You're going to say that your great king is so weak and so feeble that a simple little bird, which is what caused this whole thing to happen, took him off his game. It's going to be bizarreness. So therefore, please be meichel me. Dorish Rabba, my dechsiv l'chol levatcha chatasi. To you alone I did an avera. V'Rabbi nechasisi, and I did what was bad in your eyes. L'man tzidtak b'davarcha, so I should become righteous. Tizka b'shavtecha. So, in other words, he's accepting upon himself any din is going to be just. But Amar David Lefnei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Gol Levidi Kamoch. This is a fascinating line. Listen to this line. The boy the machafil yirtzei have a kafina. I could have been miskaber over beitzor. You think I really fell? You think I really succumbed? No, I bedavka did this. You know why? Elamina de leimri avda zachi lemare. I didn't want them to say that an avda zachi lemare zok Rashi lemare ha'eved nitzchay la'adoni b'techachosai. I told Rabban Shalom, test me, right? So it wouldn't look good to you because Ke'ilah, you felt that you shouldn't test me, and I said, yeah, test me, I'm okay. So I dafka was over because it would not look respectful towards you, Rabban Shalom, that I was right and you were wrong and you should have dared me. So that's why I did it. An interesting type of taina. Zok Gemara Vayter. Like you want to think about that. What was David HaMelech trying to bring out with that? Dorish Rava. It says in the pasuk, "Kani litzela nochain umachoyvi negisomid." So I think it means I'm limping and I'm always faced with my pain. Zok the Gemara, Ruya Hoysa Basheva Basaliyam LeDavid Misheshi Shemei Bereshis. Really, it was always destined for Bathsheba to become David's wife, but Hashem would have made it that she would have become his wife in a mutadika fashion. For instance, her husband would have died first, and then he would have married her, and everything would have been clean. The problem is it ended up coming to him through controversy, through scandal. V'chein tani devei Rabbi Shmuel, Rui Yosh LaDavid, Basheva, Basaliam, El Sha'ach LaPaga, he ate it unripe. In other words, he took her before the right time. Many times people are doing the right thing, but when they're too eager and they do it too early, it sort of ruins it a little bit. It's like shaking lulav on Erev Sukkot or eating matzah on Erev Pesach. The mitzvah is only when you wait until HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings it the right way. Dorish Rabbah, my dechsiv, uvetzali, when I was limping, when I was in trouble, samchu v'nesvu, everybody was happy and cheering, jeering me. Nesvu l'neichem, the other people, even who were injured, were making fun of me. V'lo yadati, I didn't know. Karu v'lo damu, they ripped me, and I'm not sure what the pashut of this is. Karu, they ripped me v'lo damu. Amar David l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom, go lividu l'fnecha, shem hayu karin b'sari. At that moment, when they were humiliating me, had someone cut my skin, lo hayu dami shoyses, there wouldn't have been any bleeding because all the blood drained from me because of the humiliation. Whenever David was saying a shir in Arba Mises Besten, and there are those who change the girsa this gimel, but let's first read it with this girsa. We're discussing what type of bezin is needed to paskin on Arba Mises Bezdin. So the Talmud last week, while we're learning Arba Mises Bezdin, David haba leishish misasai b'ma. How many people do you need in the Bezdin if someone's bal on eishish? I think that's what the question is. I don't think the question is. I don't think the question is what type of mitzvah it is. What is the article type? Misasai b'ma means how many people, or what is the chiv mitzvah? Is it chemek? Is it eric? Yeah. That's the shadow. Misasai b'ma. So amarti lahem. But which is what you're doing now, so this Girsa has it, while they were talking about Mrs. Bezdin, they brought it up. But the other Girsa says, while they were learning anything, it was never, it's like when the president gives a press conference on a certain issue, and then reporters ask him about something completely different just to trip him up. That's exactly what was happening. Anytime he gave a share about anything, someone would say, Rebbe, I have a question. And then they would always bring it back to this. So he was constantly being humiliated by the liberal media. Even at the end of David's life, when he was weak and he was tired, nevertheless, Kayim Shmoina Asara Oinos. He had 18 wives. So he was Makayim Oina on all 18 wives. Shenemar, it says in the Pasuk, Yagati, I was exhausted, Banchosi. But nevertheless, Ascho b'chalayla mitasi, I made my bed dirty every night. Bidamasi, with my tears. Arsi Amsa, even when I was with tears and I was sick, I always caused my bed to get soiled because he stuck to his chiyuvim. He stuck to his chiyuvim. Okay, and why is this relevant? So the Mefarshim tell us, David did tshuva shalema. So everyone must say, what did he do tshuva shalema? When he was younger, he had passion. He's an old man already. That's not called doing tshuva. That's called he doesn't have a Yitzhar anymore. So David wanted to demonstrate, no, I still have my full strength. That I'm not being Oiv Neveir is because, like the Rambam says, what's tshuva shalema? If you find yourself in the same circumstance upon which you fell, and this time you're able to show in that same scenario, you don't fall, that's true tshuva. That's what David tried to demonstrate. Although a very big disclaimer needs to be put in, I don't think it's a good idea to put yourself into the same scenario and win. Better stay away from it again. Dr. Gemara Viter. Bikesh David. Actually, there's a famous story where the Vilna Gaon asked the Dubla Magid to give him Musar. So the Dubla Magid told the Vilna Gaon, big deal, Kala Tarakula. Big deal. If I locked myself up in a room and didn't have anything to do with the world and wasn't exposed to anything, no, anyone could do that. So there's different nuschos of how the Vilna Gaon reacted. There are those that hold that he reacted, that he cried, what can I do? And there are those who say the story over as he started to cry, but no, das ist euch a kunst. It's a kunst to stay out of trouble as well. I believe like that as well. Because David wanted to do avodah zarah. Why would David want to do avodah zarah? We'll see in a second. David, then Roish always refers to El Avodah Zarah. Shneimar v'utalma, this getchke reishe didahav tov. Its head was made out of beautiful gold. So what stopped David from doing avodah zarah? V'nil krasei chushay or Aki, the Navi was there. Harua katantoi, he had a torn shirt. V'adam al roshai, and earth on his head. You see mavelos. Amal David, how could you do avodah zarah? Yoimru melech shekamoischa yavod avodah zarah. So David says, you know why I want to do avodah zarah? Amaloi melech shekamoisi yargena b'noi. My son wants to kill me. You know what a chil Hashem it will be for the world if my son kills me? But if I do avodah zarah, then it's justified. Mutav yavod avodah zarah v'al yischalel shem shemayim b'fareshya. Now that's pretty fascinating. He wanted to create a justification. So of course there are those who learn that first of all it wasn't mamash avodah zarah. He was going to do something that only looked like he was doing avodah zarah. Avada his slave wasn't going to be meshubah to avodah zarah. There are those who learn he just wanted to leave Eretz Yisrael because leaving Eretz Yisrael is also an insult to avodah zarah. But he wanted to create some type of pretext that could justify Avshalom killing him, so that it shouldn't be a chil Hashem. So he was so at the bottom of the list of his priorities, he was worried about Klal Yisrael. Amar. So the Chusha the Navi asked him, "Lamaisa my taima kanasivas yifastayr." Why did you marry Yifastayr? Because David HaMelech married women that were captured in wars. Why did you do that? Amalei, so David said, "What is the problem with that?" Yifastayr Rachman Asharye. The Torah says it's mutter. Why are you asking me about that? Amalei loy derash smuchen. You weren't there smuchen. The Samachay right after the parasha of Eishes Yifastayr, it says Ki Yelish ben Soyer Umayra. And we know from there that Kol HaNosi Yifastayr will eventually Yesh loy ben Soyer Umayra. So why would you do something? Yes, it's mutter, but it's not appropriate for you. So he took mutter from the king. Dosh Rabbi Stoy the Minbiri. Lama David Doima. What is David HaMelech compared to? L'soicher kuti, to a goyish merchant. Why? Because he was bargaining. He was bargaining and haggling with Rebbeinu Shalom. Amar David Lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's funny. I'm sorry?
That's the Yiddish side.
Oh, so I was about to say that's a Yiddish soicher, right? Jews haggle. So I want to tell you a story I had. There's a Frayit I used to service. His name was Gordon Schwartz. And he used to own the plaza where Able Home Healthcare was, where Maury Shore was. Now his children own that plaza. So he used to own that plaza. And he was a very fine Yid, but he was completely fry. And I was once negotiating with him. And he tells me, Joe, I want to speak to you. I want to Gentile you down. Now, I never heard the word, there's a word called, I'm going to Jew you down, right? When you're negotiating. He says, Joe, I want to Gentile you down. He says, I'm Jewish, of course, but I find it very offensive that they say Jew you down. I'm going to Gentile you down. So the Gemara is saying the same thing. David is going to Gentile the Rebbeinu Shalom. Amar David Rebbeinu Shalom. Shkiyos miyaven. First of all, my mistakes, which are shkagos, I believe Rashi teaches as shkagos. Let me just look at Rashi. I believe. Shkiyos mi yachol lisharim mishkagos. Right. What do you want? Shkagos, you can't protect yourself. Amal Hashem said, okay, no problem. Shvikilach. So in the first round of bargaining, he got HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be moichelim for the shkagos. Na'u min nistarais nakeni. The hidden averis, also you should be moichel me. I guess they don't know about Chil Hashem. Be moichel me for that. So shvikilach, Hashem said, okay, I'll give that to you as well. And then he went for the kill. Gam mizedim chashay chavdecha, even from mizedim be moichel me. Shvikalach. Again, Hashem was moichelim, and then he says, "Al yimshul levi esam." So Hashem, I'm moichel you for everything, but I also want, David, that nobody should talk about me. I don't want to be in the front pages of all the newspapers. Hush down the story. The Lord lishtu bei rabbana. I don't want anybody to talk about it. Zokmar shvikalach, Hashem granted that as well. But then he said, "V'nikezi mipei sharav," and that he meant, I don't want the story of Bathsheba to be in the Navi. I want it to be blocked out. I don't want that story Leil Doiris. Amr Loi Efsher. That I can't do anymore. Because Baruch said I cannot delete a chelik of the Torah. Why? Uma Yud Shenatalti Mi Sarai. Remember, Sarah's name used to be Sarai. So she got herself a hey, but she had an extra Yud. What happened to that Yud? Uma Yud Shenatalti Mi Sarai. Oymid B'tzavach. It's standing and screaming. Kama Shonim. So many years. Why was I thrown away? Until Yeshua came, and I was able to place that Yud once again in front of Yeshua's name. So Kala Parsha Kula, the entire Parsha, relating the story of David and Bathsheba, Alachas Kama the Kama. You want me to erase that. That's not going to happen. So I want to share with you a Gishmaka story that I forgot, but I have it written down about this Yud that was looking for a place until Hashem put it in Yeshua's name. So let me tell you a Gishmaka story that I saw yesterday. Somebody once asked the Apter of, it says, it doesn't say Yeshua ben Nun, it's always Yeshua bin Nun. If you look at the pasuk, it's with a chirik, bin. Shouldn't it be ben? So technically it's missing 2 dots of the Sega, because only has 1 of the 3 dots. So the Apter of answered, the Yerushalmi tells us that the Yud that Moshe Rabbeinu added to the name of Yeshua was taken from Sarai, right? Like Mitzvot Yerushalmi, our Gemara Bavli here as well, when she was named Sarai. But the Yud in Sarai does not have a Nakuda. There's no Nakuda at all. But by Yeshua, it's a Shva under the Yud. So where do those 2 dots come from? That's why he took it away from the base. It was supposed to say Yeshua Benun, but he needed an extra 2 dots to make the Shva under the Yud. So that's why it's Yeshua Benun. That's what Abdurub said. Okay. Zok Gemara weiter. Yeah, it's a Shva. Yeah, Yeshua. So by Sarah's name, there was a patach under the reish, but there's nothing under the yud. So we got the yud from Yeshua, but what about the Nekudas? I don't know. I don't know if it was a joke. I mean, the Abduruf said it, but the Abduruf has the other word of the Haftarach Kamoicha. You know that word. So the Abduruf uses what we call artistic license. Zok the Gemara weiter. So the Gemara goes weiter. So that is, I can't take away a parasha of the Torah. In case if you pay Shirav, I want to have plenty of some daver. Omar lefana, Rabban Shalom, Mochayli Aloisi Avain Kuloi. Please be Michael Min Gansen for the bear. Omar, he said, Far Asad Shloima bin Chaloimar, Shloima Yisam will come, Bechachmasoi, and he'll say in his wisdom, Hayechta ish eish bechekoi ubegad of loitis refena. In Mishli, Shlomo Melech in his wisdom is going to share with us, if you play with fire, you're going to get singed. Can you walk on open coals and not burn your feet? Well, and the pasuk goes on. This is Shlomo Melech's words. Anyone who touches her won't be clean. So your own son condemns you. So how could I take away your there? Amalei. Kol hachi mitra hu gavra. Am I hopeless? I can't do tshuva. How could you say that I can't do tshuva? Amalei Rabbi Shalom said, "Kabel alecha yisurin." If you makabel upon yourself yisurin, then through that you'll have a complete refuah or a complete kapara from the avera. Kibel Allah. Amar bidam Rav. Shisha chadashim nitztareya David. David ended up having charas for 6 months, and during those 6 months, he didn't have Cheshrosh Shechina, and because of that, the Sanhedrin even separated themselves from him. So he was very isolated. Those were the Yisurin with which he was able to clean up that hair. So that's referring to Nega. And who Parshim is Sanhedrin, how do you know it was 6 months? Shisha Yom Minala, Shisha Chadashim Minala, and Chsiva Yomim Asher Malach David Al Yisrael Arbaim Shana. The day that David Melech was Melech for 40 years, he was in Hebron, and after that, he moved. And Bechevron Melech Sheva Shanim, Uvishlai Melech Shloishim Shalosh Shanim. So there's your 33 plus 7. The problem is there's another place that says Bechevron Melech. So was he a king in Hebron for 7.5 years? Only for 7 years. The teretz is he was there for 7.5 years, but the half a year where he had tzaras doesn't count as his malchus because he was sort of isolated out of things. I want a sign now that will demonstrate to everybody around that you were Michael me. I want a safe face. Let them have egg on their faces for making fun of me when you'll be able to make a declaration that I have a Mechila Gemura. Amalek Baruch Hu said, I'm not going to put out this sign that you have complete tshuva in your lifetime. And the Mefarshim tells us why. I think the Ben Yehoyada says because there was an element of Chil Hashem in the Avera of David and Bathsheba. It was a public scandal. Whenever there's Chil Hashem, the only thing that's Machaper Chil Hashem, the Rambam says, is Misa. Misa is the final kapara for Chil Hashem. So until you die, you won't have the full kapara, and only then can I give the ois. And this is a famous story. He made the aron 10 amos wide, and that was the size of the doorway. It wouldn't go in. And it wouldn't go in. Amar Esrim v'arba renanois. He said 24 renanois v'loy nena. And the question is what these renanois are. Rashi is mashma that in the psukim it says a lashon of rina, a lashon of fila 24 times. There are those who hold there's 24 kapitluch that have tefillas in them. Amar please open doors. It didn't work. That's why we said when we put the Sefer back, probably, because that's what they used to try to open the Aron. When Shlomo Melech invoked the name of his father, that opened it up. That showed the whole world. Everybody was there. Aleph Klai was there by the inauguration of the Beis Hamikdash. It was a huge celebration. Everybody was there, and in front of everybody, it was clearly revealed by Kadosh Baruch Hu that it's only in the schus of David that he's opening up the Beis Hamikdash. Their faces were blackened from humiliation because they were wrong. They were shepherding them all along, and in fact, Kadosh Baruch Hu declared to the world that David is the one who has the schus to open the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, so now we have to go to the next of Gehazi. We got on a tangent, but really we're on the subject of the four people, the Jaitos, that didn't have a chelik ledim haba. We should just do the last puzzle. I'm not sure, but could be Shlomo Melech that this is the right mizmor to say when you're going in. But when it didn't work, he had to invoke something else. But it could be still the right mizmor. But you're asking, okay, say that mizmor. But why did you also say the pasuk that works? That's a good question. I don't know the answer. Especially if a guy's having trouble even unlocking or opening the Aron, for sure he should say that pasuk. I don't know. So the Gehazi is a fascinating story. And if you're looking from here to the end of the blot, there's actually about 10 lines that we're going to have to add in that are missing. So it's actually more. So we have 9 minutes left. So let me see if I can rush this up. Gehazi. Elisha went to the Mesech. Where did he go? You know what happened? Elisha was trying to get Gehazi to do tshuva. He refused to come back. Why don't you do tshuva? So Gehazi says, I'm not doing tshuva. I learned it from you, Elisha. My of it. What did he do? Ikad Amri, the aver that he did was Evan Shoyeves Tolo Lachatos Yeravam, Vamida ben Shemaim Laretz. What he did was Yeravam set up these golden calves in the north and in the south that the people shouldn't be on the river, they should go there instead. He wanted to give them legitimacy. So he used magnetism. He created magnets so that the egel through magnetism would be suspended in midair. So and that made it look like they were real gods, and it fooled people. So he was a Maktis Rabbim. That's one pshat in Rashi. The other pshat in Rashi as to what he did was he only has that pshat. He only has a thing of magnets. But there's someone else who had a different pshat. I'm not sure what that pshat was. If he could Shem, I'm sorry, it's the Gemara. I'm so famished.
Yosy, was public knowledge that Gehazi did it, that he was the one who put this.
Doesn't matter. He was Maktis Rabbim. He was Maktis Rabbim. He caused people to do avodah zarah.
But was it known that it was him?
What's the difference if it was known?
I think that adds the element.
Even if there's no Shem factor, but there's still a avodah zarah here. And he was claiming that if you're Machti, you have no way out. I was Machti. He wrote Tashem Hashem in the mouth of the animal, of this getchke, and it allowed this getchke to talk. you know what he wrote in the mouth? It's the same thing that was in the mouth of the fish in Skver. I'm not sure what it was exactly. V'Igadamri Rabbanon Dacha. I'm sorry.
But you know what he said.
What the fish said? No, what did the fish say?
So they keep them-
Zodacha Mikamei. That the other shot is that he stopped people from coming to Elisha's yeshiva. Elisha had a yeshiva, and he was like, don't go to his yeshiva, go somewhere else. Shenemar v'yomer b'nei Nevim el Elisha, hine no amokim asher anachnu yoshim sham lefanecha tsar mimenu. After Gehazi was thrown out, they started complaining that there's not enough room in the Besmedrash. What's up is punkt now? The chalal dar hashta loy havitzar. It wasn't crowded. You know why? Because Gehazi was turning people away from coming to yeshiva. When you have to admonish somebody, do it with your weaker side, with your left side. But your strength, mikareva, should draw people in. Loi Elisha, don't be like Elisha. He pushed Gehazi away, figuratively, with two hands. Gehazi dechsiv, v'yomer Naaman. Naaman said, Hoyel, since you're promising me that the money that you're asking me for was prompted by Elisha. Elisha's asking for this money. I'll give you money. The kach kikrim, take these kikrim, by Yifrat's boy, and he wanted to take more. Naaman wanted to give more. Vayatar kikrim kesef. He gave him kikrim kesef, and the pasuk goes on. He took begodim. Vayomer of Elisha, me'ayin Gehazi. When Gehazi came back, Elisha asked him, "Where have you been?" Vayomer lehalach avdecha anavan. I didn't go anywhere. I wasn't anywhere. Really, he went back to take money from Naaman. Elisha didn't want to take money from Naaman for curing him, but he wanted Naaman but the Gehazi wanted money. V'yomer love loy libi halach kasher hafach ish me'al markavta likrasecha. You don't think my heart was there, Elisha? Do you think you could pull a fast one on me, Gehazi? You don't think I saw when you were running after Naaman how he turned around to face you because he's responding to your calls? I know what you did. Ha'es lokachas as a kesef. Which he actually did take, but there's a long list of things that he didn't take. V'zeisim, ukramim, v'tzoin, ubakar, v'avadim, v'shvachlis. Gehazi didn't take all that from Naaman. So why is Elisha accusing him of taking all those other things? I'll tell you why. Because there's a parak in Shabbos called Shmoyne Shiratzim. And in that parak, it discusses Zeisim, Kravim, Tzoin, Bakar, Avodim, Shvachlis. They were learning that parak. Naaman, Tar Tzva, Melech Aram, Hayimitzer. Naaman was a Mitzayr. They're learning in yeshiva. Amalei Ahirabisa, Nishtaboy, Mardi Yisrael, one of his maidservants, who was a Jewish girl that was captured from the Jewish girls of Eretz Yisrael, she saw her master had Saras, so she told her master, let me give you advice. Go to Elisha, I know he can save you. He also, when he came, Elisha told him, Zil Tfel B'Yarden, go jump in the lake. Amalei, so the Naaman said, what, you're making fun of me? Amalei, she told him, Hanu to the Hadabadeh, to the people that were with him, the people that were with him said, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Jump in the river. What's going to happen? Try it out. Zil Nasi, try it out. Also, he got healed. So he was blown away that Elisha saved him. So Zok Gemara, also isolate, call Hani Dinokit. All these items he actually gave them, he wanted to give them to Elisha. But like Elisha refused to take them. One of the pshatim is because if I provided a medical service, I'll charge you. But this was Alpines. Alpines, I don't charge for these. Gehazi, ifter mikamei. So they went away. I'm sorry. He didn't want to take it. Gehazi, ifter mikamei Elisha. Gehazi excused himself from Elisha's presence, and behind Elisha's back, Ozol Shakal, Mother Shakal. He took whatever he took, he put it away in his house, and now when he comes back to Yeshiva, he also chazio Elisha l'tzaras that were parcha l'reisha. Elisha saw that the tzaras that was on Naaman is transferred over to Elisha, to Gehazi. So he already knew what happened. Amalei Russia, the time has come. Litel schar shmoyne shiratzim. What does it mean? Your time came. You learned the parak of shmoyne shiratzim, and you're entitled to a big schar. You know what? You just got your schar. In other words, you're losing everything because whatever schar you're supposed to have, you were yotze with the things that you took. And in the list of things that he took were all these things. So even though he didn't really take the Zeisim Krab and Tanya Bokar, what Elisha meant is you took the schar for learning in Perek Shmonish Rotzim about these items. And therefore he said, V'tzaras namon tidbak b'cha u'b'zaracha ad olam. You're forever going to be cursed with tzaras. V'yetzim elafanav mitzayra kishalom. Devaltim. Now, this is the Haftarah of Pashas Tazria. Who were these four Mitzrayim that were isolated out of the Machana? Now, who else? There was another person that was Doicha Mishtayodov, and this is censored. So we're going to learn now what the censor took out. I have it in Ois Vov in the Tzionim. I'm not sure if you have that. So with the first Yosha Noisef, Rabbi Shua ben Prachim Ahi, how was Rabbi Shua ben Pracha Doicha, somebody with two hands? Kidekatlinu Yamai Malka L'Rabbanon, when Yamai HaMelech was killing the Rabbanon, also Rabbi Shua ben Prachia, the Yeshoy, Yeshua ben Pracha, and his Talmud Yoshke, went to Alexandria from Mitzrayim, he escaped to Mitzrayim. The Shimon ben Shedach, at Mishayach, Shimon ben Shedach didn't have to run away because his sister was related to Yamai Melech, so she hid him, she protected him. But Kiava Shalma, once things died down back in Eretz Yisrael, Shalach leShimon ben Petach, Shimon ben Shedach wanted Rabbi Shimon ben Prach to come back. So he said to Mini Yerushalayim, it was like a coded message. I'm the city of Yerushalayim writing. The letter was sort of written in a way that it's like the Yerushalayim is writing the letter. Mini Yerushalayim, Ira Kodesh, Lichi to you, Alexander Shal Mitzrayim. Achoisi Baili Sharu B'Soichech, Vani Yosheves Shememis. You're over there, and I'm sitting here all abandoned because my husband, in other words, referring to Rabbi Shimon Pracha, we need you back here in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Shimon Pracha got the message. Shemamina Ika Shalma Alma, we can come back. Kami came back. Also, Visrami Leahu Shmiza. On the way, he stopped off at a motel for the night, and there was a motel that had off the charts wonderful service. Abdullah Yakar Tuva. They treated him with tremendous respect. So Amar, he said to his Talmidim, he commented, Kama Yafa Achsani. What a beautiful Achsani this is, referencing to their service and their behavior. But Amar Lo Yeshoy, Rebbe, she's not so beautiful, and yet Truto, she has round eyes. So Rabbi Shimon Prach says, what a maneuver you are. I'm not talking about her looks, I'm not commenting on the woman's looks, I'm commenting on her ruchnias, on the fact that she's Balas Achnas Zorchem. Amar Lo Russia, the Kach Ata Isaac, that's what you're busy with, in analyzing the physical attributes of a woman. Apik Arbamei Shipur, he pulled out 400 shofars, Vishamte, and he put Yoshkele in to Chayrim. Also, Kamei Kamazim, and many times Yoshkele wanted to come back and do tshuva. Amalei, he would tell him, Kablam, lo have a kamashkabe. He wouldn't accept it. Shimon Prach wouldn't accept him. Yom Echad, one day, you have a Kakari Krishma. Rabbi Shimon Prach was relating Krishma. Also, Lakamei, he came. Savar Lakabula. This time he was going to take him, but it was the middle of Krishma. So he went like this. He made a motion. Give me a minute. Achmel Biyodei, who Savar Mitchadachile. But Yoshka thought that he was just pushing him off again. So Yoshka gave up. Also, Zakab Levinta, he stood up a brick. Vishtachabla, he bowed down to the brick. He did have a desire then. Amalei Hardarbach, so he told Yoshka, do tshuva. Amalei Kacham Bukablani Memcha, Kalachaitu Maktas Rabim, Ein Maspikin Biyodei Lasas Tshuva. The Yomar Mar, the Chala Chalechiti. I'm sorry, Omar Mar. Okay, it goes back over here. Anyway, so that was Yeshe Nashi Kishe Vehidich Israel. In fact, Yoshka went and did a lot of problems for Klal Yisrael. So these are the two stories. Tanya, Omar Shimon Lozer, Yotzar Yetzer Tinik V'Isha. You're Yetzar, a child and a woman. Tehei Smoil Doicha V'Yivim Mekarevish. You can't push them away completely, like Dovi said. If you throw away your Yetzer, we're not going to have children. You need to have it, but with caution. Same thing with children and with your wife. There's a famous story with a Hirschsprung, David Younger, once said over in Belyort, that there was a man in a Hirschsprung scale that was hitting his wife, beating his wife. So a Hirschsprung called him in and says, "Are you really hitting your wife?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Don't you love her?" So that's what Hirschsprung asked, "Don't you love your wife?" So he said, "Let me ask you a question, Rabbi. Do you ever hit your children?" He says, "Yeah." "Do you love them?" He says, "Of course I do." "So what's the big deal? I love my wife. I hit her too." Elisha had 3 sicknesses. One is because when the Tanokas called him a baldy and insulted him, he sicked the bears of them, so he got sick for that as a punishment. Is the story that we just learned. The final sickness was the sickness that made him die. Okay, Ad Avram until Avram, no one used to age. There was no such thing as aging. Everybody looked the same age. Called the Chazil Avram Amar HaYitzchak. Called the Chazil Yitzchak Amar HaAvram. People couldn't tell the difference because we know Yitzchak was the most Duyuknoi. Shal Avram, they look like identical twins. So Bar Avram Rachami, they'll have Avram asked for the Rebbeinu Shalom that people should age so you could tell who's older and who's younger. Shenem Avram Zokin Baba Yom. At Yaakov Levachosha. Until Yaakov's days, you wouldn't get sick a week before you died. Just you drop dead from one day to the next, from 1 second to the next. Remember, you used to sneeze and you would die. That's why we always say Gesundheit. So boy Rachmi, he davened because if you die suddenly, you don't have a chance to settle your affairs. A person should know when the end is near, he can settle his affairs. So he davened Vavachosha. Your father got sick. There's no such thing that someone getting sick and then getting healed. When you got sick, it means you're dying. With Elisha twice, he davened and he got healed. Okay, we'll stop here, even though I have my obsession with finishing it off, and we will, Bez Hashem, tomorrow, hopefully in person. If I'm not here in person, it means we got delayed, but hopefully we'll be here in person.
Yosy, let's dedicate the broadcast under the engagement of Binyamin Ehrman, right?
Oh, other episode, so make the announcement.
Yeah, I will say where did he sent it, right here.
Yeah, today's broadcast is
Broadcast
in honor of the engagement of Binyamin Ehrman to
engagement to Rachel Sherwinter. Is that the way it's pronounced?
Sherwinter.
Sherwinter.
Her father is a very chosh of a Rav in Chestnut Ridge in Muncie.
Oh, Eliezer, it says here. Yeah, Eliezer Sherwinter. It doesn't write rabbi.
No, he's a rabbi. And he's the Rav of Shimon Stern as an Adam Goldbrenner. He's the Rav of that shul.
Very nice. Beautiful.
You should hear Besidas Toivus, Yeshiyas in the Chumas. By Inzala. It should